$3,000 sofa starts losing profit the moment the customer signs the order. That 20-minute purchase still has to make it through storage, financing, delivery, and one doorway that can become very expensive. A couple walks into a showroom on Saturday afternoon. They test the cushions, compare two shades of gray, settle on a sectional, and accept a promotional financing offer. The salesperson enters the order. The receipt says $3,000. For the customer, the transaction is nearly over. For the store, it may have only just begun. The sectional may already be sitting in a warehouse, taking up space while interest builds on borrowed money. Or it may still be at a factory, waiting to be made in the fabric they selected. Someone must inspect it, schedule it, load it, transport it with a two-person crew, carry it into the house, assemble it, and get the customer's acceptance without damage. If one section cannot clear the doorway, the fabric looks different under the customer's lights, or a corner arrives crushed. Part of that journey starts over. The number on the register is revenue. The final economic result comes later. 3 variables decide what the store eventually keeps: how long its cash stays trapped in inventory, how much discounting or financing it spends to secure the order, and whether the first delivery leaves behind a satisfied customer. Furniture retail appears to revolve around expensive products. Beneath the showroom, it is a race to finance, move, and finish the sale of bulky inventory before time and handling eat through the margin. Exactly what the store has promised, though, depends on the kind of retailer making that promise. An independent full-line retailer may put living rooms, bedrooms, dining sets, mattresses, lamps, and rugs under one roof. It often owns much of the merchandise inside its showroom and warehouse. That gives the owner control over availability, pricing, and local delivery. It also leaves the owner's money, or the bank's money, sitting inside sofas and tables that might need months to sell. A regional or national chain operates a different machine. It can buy in larger quantities, negotiate exclusive products, shift inventory between stores, and fulfill orders through centralized distribution centers. A sectional displayed in one city might come from a warehouse serving an entire region. Scale can reduce the purchase price and make delivery routes denser. It also brings more leases, more payroll, more warehouses, and a far larger inventory commitment. A specialty or design-led showroom works differently again. It may display fewer products, depend more on consultations, and sell higher-priced custom upholstery or coordinated rooms. Much of that merchandise is ordered only after the customer chooses it. The store does not need to stock every possible combination, but inventory risk gives way to waiting risk. A delayed custom sofa can occupy customer service staff for weeks without generating another dollar of revenue. A direct ship or made-to-order operator holds even less local inventory. The vendor may send the product to a delivery terminal or move it directly toward the customer. That can reduce the need for warehouse space, but it also reduces the retailer's control. If production slips, freight runs late, or a package arrives damaged, the customer still calls the store named on the receipt. The retailer can own the logistics operation or outsource it. A company fleet provides control over crews, schedules, inspections, and service recovery. It also requires trucks, insurance, fuel, maintenance, dispatchers, and enough deliveries to keep the whole system productive. Outsourcing replaces part of that fixed structure with a fee per delivery. But when the carrier performs badly, the retailer's reputation still takes the damage. There is no single average furniture store. Some retailers own the stock, the warehouse, and the final mile. Others own the customer relationship, while vendors and contractors manage most of the product's physical journey. Most sit somewhere between the two. The defining choice reaches beyond what appears on the showroom floor. It is how much merchandise, warehouse capacity, delivery responsibility, and customer waiting risk the retailer chooses to carry. At its smallest, the operation is a showroom, a warehouse, and an ongoing argument with doorway measurements. Those commitments begin before the first customer ever sits down. Furniture takes space. A retailer cannot put one chair on a shelf and expect customers to picture an entire living room around it. The showroom needs broad paths, lighting, signs, decorated room settings, power for adjustable furniture, point-of-sale equipment, and enough variety for meaningful comparison. Someone choosing a sectional may want to see several fabrics, cushion types, configurations, and price levels. Every option has to be presented. The location also needs visibility and access. Large stores often look for major roads, retail clusters, and parking areas where customers can arrive, browse, and arrange a pickup. Visibility can bring traffic, but thousands of square feet of attractive retail space become a monthly bill whether Saturday is packed or Tuesday is empty. Behind the showroom is another building, or another costly section of the same one. The warehouse needs loading access, racks, material handling equipment, inspection areas, packaging disposal, security, insurance, and workers capable of moving heavy pieces without hurting themselves or the merchandise. Then add delivery vehicles or carrier contracts, inventory and route scheduling software, deposits, signs, displays, and enough cash to survive the months before sales become predictable. And then come the floor samples. A display sofa helps sell other sofas, but it remains inventory. The retailer paid for something customers sit on every day without purchasing that particular unit. The fabric wears, the model changes, or a new style arrives, and the sample loses value. Eventually, the store marks it down to recover cash and free the space. That markdown is more than a promotional event. It is the price of keeping the showroom current. Inventory financing makes the clock easier to see. Put plainly, the retailer borrows money or draws on a credit facility to acquire merchandise before a customer buys it. The sofa reaches the sales floor today. Payment from its eventual buyer may not arrive for weeks or months. In between, interest builds, space remains occupied, insurance continues, and the product can be damaged or become obsolete. Supplier terms can postpone the cash payment, but the obligation remains. A vendor may give the retailer a stated period before payment is due. If the furniture sells quickly, the retailer can collect from the customer before or around the time it pays the supplier. If the product sits, the retailer pays first and then waits. Every extra day makes the original margin a little less attractive. That is how two showrooms that look almost identical can face completely different financial pressure. One turns its stock quickly and treats its warehouse as a platform in motion. The other is storing last season's decisions: the lease, the stock, and the clock. All three make the selling price look especially tempting. Go back to the couple buying the sectional. The tag may list a price above $3,000. A holiday promotion brings it down. The salesperson applies another approved adjustment, and the order closes at $3,000. Sales tax is added for the relevant jurisdiction, but the store collects that money for the government rather than keeping it as revenue. Delivery may appear as a separate charge. For a custom order, the store may collect a deposit and require the rest before delivery, or at another point set by its policy. When financing enters the picture, approval may decide whether the sale happens at all. A customer reluctant to spend $3,000 today may accept a monthly payment spread across several years. Choosing the furniture is emotional and practical. Financing turns that decision into a monthly number that looks easier to carry. That is one reason promotional offers appear so often. Furniture is expensive, discretionary, and bought infrequently. A household might replace a sofa after many years, not every season. Demand tends to gather around weekends, moves, renovations, holidays, and major promotional periods. Each completed sale must therefore pay part of the cost of all the hours when nobody buys anything. Conversion rate matters here. It is the percentage of visitors who become buyers. If 100 groups walk in and 20 place orders, the conversion rate is 20%. Improve that percentage, and the store can produce more revenue without adding another building. Average order value matters as well. Add a chair, rug, table, and protection plan to a sofa, and the same customer visit creates a much larger order. A bigger order, however, is not always a better one. Which has more value? A $4,000 custom sofa in an unusual fabric with a long lead time, or a $3,000 in-stock sectional ready to join a scheduled route? Price cannot settle the question. The custom sofa may offer a healthy merchandise margin, while requiring less speculative inventory. It may also bring months of delay exposure, repeated customer updates, and a higher risk of cancellation. The in-stock sectional can generate cash sooner, but only if it has not already spent 6 months occupying warehouse space. The large ticket helps cover infrequent purchases, expensive selling space, sales labor, and difficult fulfillment. It does not erase any of those costs. The sofa itself may not provide all of the margin either. Private label and exclusive collections can improve merchandise economics. When customers cannot find the identical model at 5 competing stores, direct price comparisons become more difficult. The retailer may gain more control over sourcing, product features, and markup. Larger purchase commitments can also bring supplier allowances or better unit costs. The trade-off is dangerous and simple: more stock that still has to sell. A coordinated room package raises the order value without requiring another customer. An in-table, rug, lamp, pillows, or adjustable base may carry a different margin from the main piece. Charges for delivery, assembly, removal, and setup can recover part of the physical fulfillment expense. Protection plans produce revenue when customers pay for defined coverage beyond the basic product warranty. Their economics depend on the plan's structure, who carries the claims, and how the revenue is recognized. Free money this is not. Properly priced and administered, though, it can be a useful attachment. Financing can raise conversion too, but somebody pays for the promotion. Under one arrangement, an outside lender funds the customer and charges the retailer a merchant discount or program cost. The store gets cash minus the applicable financing expense, while the lender handles repayment. Under another, the retailer keeps more of the credit exposure. That can preserve more revenue when customers pay as agreed, but it also brings underwriting, servicing, collection, and loss risk. Deferred interest financing requires one careful distinction. The customer may pay no interest if the promotional balance is fully repaid within the specified period. If the customer does not meet those terms, the agreement may allow interest to be charged. For the retailer, the attractive wording on the sign still carries an economic cost somewhere in the sale: a lender fee, a subsidy, or credit risk. Take that $3,000 sectional and pull the transaction apart. This is an illustration, not a claim, that every retailer shares the same cost structure. Suppose its landed merchandise cost is $1,400. Landed cost includes the product, plus the freight and handling needed to bring it into the retailer's system. That leaves $1,600 before the rest of the business touches the order. Suppose promotion and negotiation have already cut $300 from what the retailer originally hoped to collect. The $3,000 order is not being compared with an imaginary full-price transaction. Part of the available margin has already been spent to create demand. Assign $150 to sales compensation and related selling expense. Allow $120 for the financing program or payment costs tied to the transaction. Put aside $250 for the showroom, warehouse, advertising, and administrative resources that created and held the sale. Add $200 in net delivery expense after the customer's delivery charge. Reserve $80 for expected damage, service, or return leakage. Those illustrative expenses consume $800 of the initial $1,600 above landed merchandise cost. Roughly $800 remains as contribution before broader company overhead, taxes, debt costs not already allocated, and other expenses. A failed first delivery requiring another crew visit can cut that contribution quickly. So can another markdown or a cancellation after special handling. Add a profitable table, rug, or protection plan, secure a better sourcing cost, and complete a dense delivery route on the first attempt, and the result gets better. Keep the sofa too long, subsidize aggressive financing, and send the truck twice, and it gets worse. There is the hidden engine. Sourcing, attachments, and fulfillment discipline preserve the margin. The list price only gives them room to operate. The operating ledger reveals how quickly that room can disappear. Payroll starts with salespeople, designers, cashiers, managers, warehouse workers, dispatchers, customer service staff, and delivery crews. Compensation can include wages, salaries, and commissions. Commission ties some selling expense to revenue, but the store still needs staff when traffic is light. Warehouse and delivery labor cannot always track demand perfectly either. A truck route still needs a crew when cancellations leave empty capacity. Then comes occupancy. Showroom rent pays for visibility and presentation. Warehouse rent pays for merchandise customers cannot currently see. Utilities light, heat, and cool large spaces. Advertising brings in traffic. Software tracks inventory, orders, financing approvals, customer messages, and delivery windows. Insurance covers buildings, vehicles, liability, employees, and merchandise. Interest is what the business pays for time. Inventory turnover measures how often a retailer sells and replaces its average stock during a period. If a store holds an average of $2 million of inventory at cost and sells $6 million of merchandise cost during the year, its inventory turns 3 times. A faster turn generally means each dollar spends less time locked inside furniture. Days inventory outstanding describes the same issue in units of time. It estimates the number of days merchandise remains in the system before a sale. Products and seasons differ, so the measure is imperfect, but it exposes the main problem. A sofa that produces a respectable margin after 60 days may generate a disappointing return after 200 days, even at the exact same final selling price. Bulky inventory makes this harder. A single sofa can take up floor or warehouse space that would hold dozens of smaller retail items. It needs more handling, cannot be stacked casually, and can suffer damage during unloading, storage, picking, truck loading, transport, entry into the home, or assembly. A minor scratch on a packaged household item might lead to a small refund. A torn panel on a sectional could mean a service visit, a replacement component, an exchange, or a complete return. Delivery capacity becomes selling capacity. A truck can carry only so much volume and weight. A route contains only so many hours. Large pieces commonly need 2 people. Elevators, stairs, gated buildings, long carries, customer availability, assembly, and packaging removal all change the number of stops one crew can finish. Nearby addresses allow more deliveries with less fuel per order. A scattered route sends the same truck farther to complete the same number of sales. A failed attempt costs even more. Perhaps the customer is not home. The doorway is too narrow. The product does not match the order. A piece is missing or damaged. The crew has then spent time without finishing the transaction. The merchandise returns to the truck or warehouse. Dispatch books another appointment. Customer service handles the disappointment. And the second route consumes capacity that could have completed a new sale. Accounting and cash may also run on different clocks. The store might record the order when the customer commits, collect a deposit, or recognize revenue only when control of the merchandise transfers under its accounting policy. The precise policy can vary. The practical goal does not. Convert the order into collected, usable cash without too much delay or repeated work. Even more written orders can create pressure. The retailer may have to purchase more merchandise, add warehouse labor, and reserve delivery capacity before all of the related cash becomes available. When suppliers get paid faster than customers complete their transactions, growth consumes cash. Not units ordered, not tickets written. Completed deliveries producing usable cash. Once you see that distinction, a normal slowdown looks much more serious. Imagine that the store has just come through a promotion-heavy season. Management expected strong demand to continue and ordered deeply. Instead, customer traffic softens. Sofas sit in the warehouse, supplier bills reach their due dates, and interest keeps accumulating. There is no dramatic event. The merchandise is just moving more slowly than the financing behind it. Then the styles start to age. New collections need space, while older pieces still occupy the best display and warehouse positions. The store marks down prices to free cash. That markdown may create a sale, but it also strips margin from merchandise that has already built up carrying cost. Add a shortage of experienced delivery workers. Staffing routes gets harder. Temporary crews may need closer supervision. Damage increases modestly. More customers require service visits or another delivery. Refunds and concessions rise as the retailer tries to preserve relationships after missed windows or damaged merchandise. Any one of those problems can be survived. Together, they attack the same dollar at 3 separate points. Interest takes part while the product waits. Discounting takes more when the store finally creates demand. Delivery rework takes another piece after everyone has already celebrated the order. Higher borrowing costs make the entire sequence more expensive. They may also reduce consumer demand as monthly payments become less appealing or financing approvals get harder. Furniture purchases can often be postponed. A household may eventually need a new sofa, but a tighter budget can push eventually out by another year. Custom orders bring another kind of pressure. They reduce speculative inventory, but long lead times give customers more time to reconsider, move, encounter delays, or dispute the finished appearance. Deposits and cancellation policies offer some protection. They cannot eliminate every service expense or reputational consequence. A sofa can spend months in a warehouse while contributing mainly to the warehouse's demand for more warehouse. At that point, gross margin on the sales report is no longer the main question. What matters is how quickly and reliably that margin turns into cash. Conn's is a useful example because its showroom business involved much more than furniture. The company sold furniture, mattresses, appliances, electronics, and other household goods, and consumer credit held a substantial place in its model. That combination connected retail inventory, physical stores, delivery obligations, and financing exposure within a single operating system. When that system worked, credit made large purchases more accessible to customers and supported demand in the stores. When conditions weakened, the same structure created pressure in several places at once. The company still had to purchase and hold merchandise. Stores and distribution operations kept their fixed costs. Credit performance shaped cash generation. Softer discretionary demand slowed the movement of inventory. Conn's also acquired W.S. Badcock, enlarging its footprint and adding integration complexity. Expansion can produce buying scale and bring in a larger customer base. It can also add stores, leases, systems, employees, inventory, and operating commitments before the combined company delivers the expected benefits. In July of 2024, Conn's filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. Its court and company materials described a business under liquidity pressure and pursuing store closures and liquidation processes. The courtroom chronology is less useful than the combination of pressures already present in the furniture store ledger. Weak demand, expensive physical commitments, inventory exposure, consumer credit pressure, and the difficulty of turning large booked transactions into durable cash. Recognizable stores and costly products did not cancel the balance sheet problem. Those large tickets were still tied to merchandise requiring capital, space, labor, and delivery. At Conn's, they were also tied to a credit system, carrying risks that continued well beyond the showroom sale. The case does not establish that extending credit is inherently bad, that every acquisition fails, or that furniture retail cannot succeed. It shows that each additional engine must cover the complexity it creates. Credit needs to generate enough profitable demand to pay for funding and losses. Expansion needs to improve purchasing, inventory use, and distribution enough to support the larger footprint. Revenue has to become cash quickly enough to meet obligations the company has already taken on. Otherwise, scale creates more places for money to get stuck. Stronger operators work to stop that from happening. Centralized purchasing can reduce unit costs and eliminate duplicated ordering. Private label products can give the retailer differentiation and greater control over sourcing. Better supplier leverage can improve terms. Ordering extra merchandise just to secure a lower price, though, is a false saving if that merchandise sits. Regional distribution centers can pool inventory for multiple stores. Instead of keeping every sellable unit inside every showroom, stores display samples while one central warehouse holds stock for the area. Inventory software can identify the location of a specific piece, making it possible to transfer or fulfill the order from wherever the product already sits. That improves the odds of matching demand with existing stock before the retailer sends another purchase order. Dense routes protect the final mile. 10 deliveries in a compact area use the crew, truck, and fuel more efficiently than 10 deliveries spread across a broad region. Accurate measurements, customer reminders, pre-delivery inspections, correct picking, and realistic schedules reduce failed attempts. None of this is glamorous. Every part of it protects contribution. Deposits on custom orders reduce the working capital supplied by the retailer and give customers a financial commitment to the purchase. Direct vendor shipment can reduce warehouse handling for products suited to it. Faster clearance decisions stop old styles from occupying prime space forever. Accessories and protection plans can improve the value of an existing customer visit without demanding another sofa-sized block of inventory. Scale works when these systems reduce cost or shorten time. It works when the retailer buys more intelligently, sees stock across its network, makes faster markdown decisions, and fills delivery routes efficiently. It works when regional inventory can solve a damaged order instead of forcing the customer to wait through a completely new production cycle. Scale does not work merely because there are more dots on the map. A new store may add revenue, but it also adds displays, employees, leases, local inventory, and delivery promises. Overestimate demand, and the warehouse problem grows larger rather than safer. That is the condition. Size can protect the model, or it can magnify the model's weaknesses. Inventory age and delivery success still reveal which one happened. Consider an illustrative independent mid-market retailer with one showroom, one nearby warehouse, a stable staff, and starting inventory matched to its expected demand. These numbers are neither a prediction nor an industry average. They form one ledger showing how the variables we have already established work together. Suppose the store generates $8 million in annual merchandise and service revenue in a strong year. After landed merchandise cost, vendor programs, and disciplined promotional discounts, gross profit reaches $3,600,000. That is 45 cents of gross profit for every dollar of revenue before operating expenses. Payroll and sales compensation take $1,300,000. Showroom and warehouse occupancy, utilities, insurance, software, and administration need $800,000. Advertising costs $400,000. Net delivery and fulfillment expense, after customer charges, takes $450,000. Interest, inventory shrink, damage, returns, and other operating leakage consume $300,000. That leaves an operating result of $350,000 before taxes and owner-specific expenses. It is not enormous beside $8 million in sales, but it is positive. The store got there because inventory moved at the expected pace, promotions stayed controlled, delivery damage remained low, routes were productive, and customers often added accessories or protection coverage. Keep the store, its staff, the buildings, and the average headline ticket near the same level. Then give it a more difficult but entirely ordinary year. Revenue falls only modestly to $7,600,000. The showroom can still appear busy. The average sofa price still looks substantial, but slower inventory movement leads to deeper markdowns. Financing programs cost more. Fewer customers add accessories and protection plans. Gross profit drops to $3,100,000. Payroll cannot decline in proportion to sales because the store still requires managers, sales coverage, warehouse labor, customer service, and delivery coordination. It falls only slightly to $1,250,000. Occupancy and core administration remain near $800,000. Advertising stays around $400,000 because weaker traffic gives the retailer a reason to keep promoting. Delivery rework climbs. Additional damage, failed attempts, and customer concessions raise net fulfillment expense to $550,000. Interest, carrying cost, returns, shrink, and other leakage increase to $400,000 as inventory stays in the system longer. The operating result has become negative $300,000. Ticket prices did not have to collapse. The showroom did not have to empty. Revenue fell by 5%, while the operating result swung by $650,000 because gross margin weakened and the fixed and semi-fixed structures stayed in place. The stronger store turned stock into completed deliveries quickly, maintained promotional discipline, and attached extra margin to orders it had already won. The ordinary store wrote orders with similar-looking totals, but its inventory aged, discounts grew deeper, and delivery took a larger share of every sale. Same sofa, similar receipt, completely different cash result. Go back once more to the couple walking out of the showroom. They spent 20 minutes choosing a $3,000 sectional. The salesperson closed the order, the financing received approval, and the delivery date is visible on a screen. From the parking lot, it all looks finished. Inside the store, 3 tests are still waiting. How long did the sectional use cash and space before the sale? If it moved quickly, the retailer can repay the inventory obligation and put that space back to work. If it waited for months, interest, handling, and markdown risk have already removed part of the margin. How much did the retailer spend to secure the order? The advertised discount is only part of the answer. There is also the financing cost, the salesperson's compensation, the advertising, the showroom that allowed the comparison, and any concession needed to stop the customer from leaving. And did the first delivery complete the transaction? A dense route, a correct order, an undamaged product, and an accurately measured doorway turn the promise into cash and customer satisfaction. A failed attempt turns that same sectional into one more warehouse movement, another truck appointment, another service conversation, and another deduction from the margin. Sourcing sets the amount of room available at the beginning. Inventory turnover decides how long that room remains. Accessories, protection plans, and services can add contribution without another full customer acquisition cycle. Warehouse capacity determines how much merchandise the system can carry before congestion adds cost. Final mile execution decides whether the economic value survives contact with the customer's home. This is why the large selling price gives such a distorted picture. $3,000 is the transaction's most visible number, but it only opens the ledger. Behind it are the supplier invoice, loan balance, showroom lease, warehouse slot, sales commission, promotion, truck, crew, staircase, and the chance that the entire sectional comes back. The showroom sells a picture of a completed room. The retailer has to complete a chain of financial and physical promises without letting too much value disappear between the display and the customer's floor. A furniture store does not earn its result when the customer agrees to buy a sofa. It earns that result by financing the right merchandise, moving it before age demands a discount, and delivering it successfully with as little repeated work as possible. The showroom produces the order. The inventory clock and the final mile determine what the order was worth.